you use the rule of thirds like in photography? Is a question from Linda.
I sometimes do, yes, and very often, you might have noticed, I just make things up as I go along, but often I find that a really good painting, I have instinctively used a rule of thirds for. It just is to do with getting it balanced, actually. But then sometimes I also find that I look at a painting and I think, I definitely haven't followed any rules with that one, but I still like it. So yeah, sorry, I don't know if that's a very good answer to that one. I just kind of think you should have a bash, really, and see how you go.
Excellent, your own style.
Yes.
Right. How many paintings do you average in a week or a month?
Now that really depends. If I am, it depends what stage I'm at with other projects, because as you know, I write as well, and I find that it comes in fits and starts. At the beginning of lockdown, I found that I was unable to write. I had just finished writing a book, and I suddenly realized that with the advance of the virus and society changing so drastically, I really felt that that book that I'd spent 18 months writing was now completely irrelevant. So I almost went into a little bit of a downward spiral, and at that point I painted a lot because I needed the paintings to really sort of to lift my spirits. And that's the point at which I started putting those painting lessons on YouTube, the free ones that I mentioned when I was speaking before, and it was massively beneficial for me. And then I realized that other people were really enjoying it as well, and I got some fantastic comments back. So at that point I was literally painting every minute I could, as long as my husband and my children didn't want feeding or anything else. So I probably was painting. If it was a big canvas, it would probably take me 2 days. But if it was a small canvas, I could do one in half a day. So yeah, I was incredibly prolific then, and then I ended up, obviously, I've recently gone back to school, so I work in a school library in the mornings. So I haven't managed to paint an awful lot in the last few weeks since we went back to school, but the good news is that the book isn't irrelevant. I've had it checked by an editor, and the editor says he thinks it's fine, not to worry. So
good. Well, that's good news. Really good news. Right, we have some more questions. Do you do all that painting in one go, and how long does it take to dry? Lynn would like to know, please.
Acrylics are very quick to dry, actually. I like that about them, because then, of course, if you feel that an area doesn't work, you can then work over the top of it really quite quickly. Just leave it for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and once it's completely set, that you can go on it over the top. I find that, sorry, could you repeat the question? I've started talking and forgotten.
No, that's fine. Do you do all that painting in one go, and how long does it take to dry?
Okay, so I've answered the drying with acrylics. I also use oils a lot, and they can take a very long time to dry. They can be touch dry within a few days, maybe a week, but then they can take up to 6 months to really go off and solidify. So oil painting, I only do if I've got space to leave it. With the kids around, that's not a good idea. So when the kids are away, then that might be when I would do an oil painting. As to, do I do it all at once? I would love to be able to sit and do a whole painting all at once, particularly the big ones. That just doesn't happen. It's not practical. I tend to do it in layers and build up the layers over time. And I always have something on the go, usually in the conservatory. And my husband keeps saying, okay, how long is that one going to be there for? He says, you do realize my mother's coming for dinner, you're going to have to clear it away. So as long as I'm allowed to leave it, the painting will keep developing over time. And if I have a whole weekend with not too much to do, then yeah, I just keep painting. Sorry.
Good, but the usual constraints we all have to deal with.
Yes.
Right.
Feeding people.
Absolutely. Catherine would like to know, please, what medium do you enjoy using the most?
Well, I think it depends what I'm trying to paint. If I'm painting the children, I just love using watercolours. I think there is a real innocence to watercolours, and I think that that is perfect for painting the children. It comes across beautifully, and again, I like to build that up in layers as well. I guess there's one medium I would never use. I've tried, I really have, but those pastel things, I don't know how anybody uses those. I take my hat off to them. I am very impressed. I would love to see it actually being done, but I end up just covered in them, and there's very, very little apart from a blurred mess on the canvas. So I've given up with those. Acrylics, I think, would be my go-to at the moment because they're so versatile. I stopped using oils when one of the children got into the oils in the conservatory and managed to smear oil paint all over a brand new conservatory, and the one colour they used was scarlet, and I thought they'd cut themselves and that there'd been a bloodbath. So that was a bit of a mess. So ever since then I stopped with the oils until they were much older, and by then I was hooked on the acrylics, so I do tend to use those.
Right. I love it, I love it. Now here's a good question from Penny. Could you use the tissue technique with watercolour?
I'm afraid I don't think it would work, mainly because the water dissolves the it dissolves the glue, and I just don't think it's going to work. Sorry.
Right. Well, best we know before we start.
Yes, absolutely.
That seems to be it for the moment on the questions.
Cool.
Did you want to share any more with us, Alice, or have we enjoyed all your pictures and paintings you'd like to show us this evening?
Yeah, other than the other thing I think that's quite nice with paintings, coming away from the textured paintings, is that actually it can often be the choice of the combination of colors that really makes a difference between an okay painting and a really, out there painting that, I mean, I like the really strong colors, but I also like strong contrasts. And something that I've found that works really, really well is actually metallics on a matte background, which I think I showed you a couple of those when I was speaking before. But the other ones I did recently that I think worked really quite nicely was this one, which because I've used a metallic for the ballerina's dress, for the highlighted areas of the body, when in certain lights you can see it changing. Wow. There, yes. It just suddenly pops off. And it just makes such a difference. And obviously, if then when you're mounting it on the wall, you can mount it somewhere where the light works. It really does. It's really striking, and it's such a simple shape, but you can make a really big difference. So, is that okay? That's lovely. That is cool. That was fabulous. That caught the light beautifully. Lovely. Adrian said, we really enjoyed this session. Thank you, Alice. Oh, so that's there really you are. Kind. So that's good. Thank you.